In Japan, a country known for its citizens' longevity and vitality later in life, there were special pools where people could bathe in the waters that was recently churned through the inner workings of a mountain. People who bathed in this Hansa water felt a certain rejuvenation. We now know that this effect is a result of the abundance of hydrogen in the water.
Our clinic recreates this with the IHG 600 Browns Gas Electrolyzer, so you can enjoy the benefits of hydrogen Browns gas in your own home.
Hydrogen in every form is our most important macronutrient, vitamin H. It is healing and rejuvenating.
Around 62% of the human body is made of hydrogen, 24% oxygen, and the remaining 12 and 2% everything else. Most of us are hydrogen deficient, and this affects the rate that we age. When this happens, the body starts shutting down first the regeneration system, then the immune system, and eventually the organs. Boom.
Hello, everybody. Oh, wow, there's a delay. I can't look at myself.
Yeah, don't look at yourself on the thing.
Well, then can I get rid of myself?
Yeah,
Been
you can
working
do
that
all.
my whole life.
You can do. Okay, hi everyone on Facebook. We're streaming live. This is Andrew Scheim. We're doing a Q&A. Scheim. Andrew Scheim. We're doing a live Q&A. It's interactive. If you want to ask questions, you can write them in the comments in Facebook. I'll be able to read them out. Or if you want the full experience, you can join into the Zoom room, which the link is there in the comments. Just click that and hop in the room, and I'll let you in, and you can talk to Andrew live. So, Andrew, you were just talking to our friend Blake about something interesting. If you want to continue that, excuse me for my interruption. I will go back to being the.
You want to bring Blake back on?
I mean,
yeah,
whatever.
I'm back on. I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
hi. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, by the way, even the purpose of these calls is it's as though I'm talking to anybody one-on-one. It has to apply, any therapy, any situation has to apply to, your very intimate struggles. We're all got struggles. And so I would like this to, in terms of hydrogen, okay, where does it fit? We're going to address it. But, everybody has a unique challenge. Some have, like heavy duty, let's say autoimmune issues. Other people have structural issues like Blake was describing. So the idea is to build a clinical situation at home as much as you can, not get locked into one thing or the other, gather the tools, understand the tools, have a multi-dynamic oversight in what you're doing as much as possible. And this is where, when we talk to one another, you get some feedback, ideas. And I really encourage people to, gather up their tools. The tendency sometimes is with the marketing is to believe that one tool will do everything, and it's just not, in my experience, that's not the case. So anyhow, Blake, we were talking about your situation, and I was mentioning my kind of model of the subconscious mind through the body work. It led back to the subconscious mind, and the Ho'oponopono model I like because it starts with the inner child nature, where the subconscious mind is playing all these memories that can go past lives, a lot of ancestor stuff in their work. If anybody knows about homeopathy, the miasms are a very fascinating kind of take on ancestral leftover heavy disease state formations, energetic formations. So the goal really to me in all this work is to clear the subconscious as effectively and creatively as possible. Since the subconscious is fractured and fragmented and plays all these crazy movies, I mean, you could just be like a Hindu and say it's not real, good luck. Or you could get a creative methodology to do what Ho'oponopono calls cleaning the subconscious. And in their system, which I find is very accurate, when you tune into that consciousness space, and it's a listening thing, you can sense it. You just have to close your eyes and, see, kind of sense into the body. If you start treating your body, memories will start to show. Then, then it's a question in their model of creating that kind of connectivity to the subconscious where divinity will come in and clean. So it's a call and a response with God, to be simple, or however you want to frame divinity. That, and you need a language because the mind is already distorted. You're trying to find a creative language, and sound. You mentioned sound. I come from I got to this because I was a musician for years. I play
Yeah.
sax and piano. I played in blues bands. There's nothing like the blues as a primitive earth language. It's amazing. Very hard to find musicians that truly will listen, but that's another story, another day. And
I
body
play
work,
too, yeah, I
huh?
also play music. So music is a gateway for me, and I've been a dancer for
Right.
my entire life. And
Lot,
yeah,
lot of body workers came out of dance. So, yeah, so anybody who's been a dancer or musician appreciates that communication with the being, the things that affect our being. So I'm a big fan of everything leads back to the subconscious, and the hydrogen, I always say when you breathe, I don't know, do you have the Browns
I
gas?
do. I have it. I have the machine.
So do
Brand
you sense that kind of peace when you breathe it, a sort of
I
peacefulness?
do. I do.
Right.
I've been really, I haven't breathed for very long, but it is truly a meditative process, and I can feel it already communicating with me. It's really fascinating. And I haven't really breathed it very much, in terms of I'm doing like 3 sets of 20 minutes in a day right now. That's what I've been doing.
So
I
we're gonna get into the nuts and bolts of the therapy because I've had experience pretty deeply. So I might say, with everybody, you have to assess how much deep doo-doo you're in. But I'm going to give general strokes of what I believe from my experience. And there's nothing hardcore in all this. I could quote stuff out of China about how much gas, how long, and research. But there's some pretty common sense parameters, and this is a do no harm therapy. So even if you were to breathe a lot, you're not going to hurt yourself. And so pretty much in simplicity, the worse state you're in, the more you need to breathe. The more volume of gas you need, and the more time you need, and then time times weeks, months. So once you break in, go for it. I breathe it all night long myself, and sometimes in the day, if I'm under stress, I have two machines actually, and I'll tether them together, and I'll breathe two machines for an hour or two of the two machines is quite potent if you just have a short period of time. But yes, the hydrogen is a very peaceful, I call it like a divine mother kind of therapy, very calming, very soothing.
That's very true. That's how it feels to me.
Right.
My
I'm
issue,
not,
I live off, I'm going to ask you this question real quick about the all night breathing. I live off grid. So the all night's not such a great option for me just because of the electricity and running all night. This time of year, I can pull it off, but in the winter, I won't really be able to. So just letting you know that that's,
get a generator.
I have a generator, but I'm not going to run a generator. So I mean, I've lived off grid since 1999, and I have a whole power backup. It's just a matter of, running a generator, and I'm injured, so that's going off to my shed to run my generator. I mean, it's a dance.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say, this is a struggle with anybody. At some point, you have to try to figure out more and more how to make self-care number one, and whatever hoops you have to go through to get there. Because I
Yeah,
have a friend, for instance, who he has all this stuff, but he kind of his relationship sabotages his self-care, and so he doesn't he can't get to self-care. So my advocacy always is if a therapy is wonderful and beautiful, try to figure out a way to do it best you can. Um, and that's
the advent of solid state batteries is
Yes.
making off grid solutions. I remember I mentioned it to you, Blake, a while ago.
I'm gonna upgrade as soon as it's at a place where it's time. Then I can have a hot tub. I mean, I've chosen a certain lifestyle that's very off grid and very DIY. Sean's been to my place, so he knows. And I
Yeah,
work really hard, and self care is absolutely my priority. But I have been waiting for something much more sustainable in terms of batteries. So I'm super excited with what's happening.
yeah. So the company is called Young Nuwa, not Young Sheet. I had it slightly
I
wrong.
looked them up, but they're not quite there yet for my
Now,
kind of size.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
all for
So there's
cameras and stuff like that in their website.
no, no. Okay. Yeah, I sent you the wrong
Okay,
website. There's
maybe
another
that's,
company. It's almost the same word though. It's like Young Nua or Young Shido. I can't remember exactly. There's two of them.
maybe you can
One of
put
them.
it in the chat and I'll click
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have by the way, we have Marilee and Jay, and I see Victoria. Uh,
Oh, and there's Bo. Bo just joined us.
Bo's
She
on.
did her
Great.
see
Hey,
I was on. Yeah.
hey, Bo. Hello.
She's muted. You gotta unmute.
She's got to accept the recording.
Oh, he's got the
Hi.
mute button on you. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
We're just have a quick couple-minute break before we get back into working on this course, but I just wanted to check in, see how you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're just starting.
We're
We're just
starting
going
now.
to keep doing the nuts and bolts of hydrogen.
Awesome, and it's being recorded, which is great because there's a lot of people that want to watch this that don't have the opportunity to do it today. We'll do our next one in the evening, I think.
And by the way, if you want to submit any like written questions or, like any meeting, I can just say, okay, here's 5 questions. I'll answer them.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little collection from the people around. I'm gonna put a little email out and get some. I think this is a great first thing, though. You just kind of do an overview, answering Blake's questions, kind of get it going. We'll get our practitioners into after the course as well.
And so we'll break it up. Mostly this is about the therapy itself, how it integrates. It's, the ins and outs of the therapy. If we get people who have machines and want to do a technical Q&A, we can do that as a separate issue. But the essential thing we're trying to do here is help people truly appreciate the therapy, how to use it, maybe case histories, applications, and integrations. Okay?
Yeah, there's one thing I'm not going to have very long to go over, but if you guys can talk about this a little bit while it's being recorded, I'd like to send this to one of my patients. She's having some heart issues. So if we could talk a little bit about the applications of Brown's gas, how you would best use it for heart issues. I'm not going to go into her personal history here, exactly what's going
Right.
on. I haven't checked with her about that, but just how to utilize. She just got her machine not long ago. How to utilize that best for what's going on. If there's holes in the heart, if it's filling up with fluid, if there's problems with the vessels, what would you do as a practitioner?
You want the answer now?
No, I actually have to sign off here, but I just wanted to check in. You guys are doing great, and thank you so much for taking the time, Andrew. I'll make sure the overview of all this goes to all the people that need it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
On?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let me just start. How many people in this group have the machine?
I do.
Okay, anybody else? Marilee does, I know. Hello,
Yeah.
Marilee.
Everyone here
Hi,
has
Andrew.
access to one.
Hi, Marilee.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
So Marilee has it. We've talked before. And then Victoria, do you have a machine?
She has access to one.
Okay. All righty. So this is going to be a sort of a bit of an intro, I guess. So as I was mentioning to Blake, what I like about hydrogen therapy in simplicity is it stands alone as a very kind and gentle therapy. The break-in is very easy. The logic behind it is pretty simple. As far as if the more challenged you are, the more gas you need per minute, per hour, per day, etc. It's a do no harm therapy once you break in. Now, if you start off right from the beginning, you got to do a little break in, because I always use the analogy of the guy who's crawling in the desert for 3 days and hasn't drank water, and then all of a sudden he gulps water. So initially the body has to just go, wow, I'm getting this wonderful hydration, and it has to kind of level out with the therapy. That doesn't usually take long. So yes, you can start maybe first day, 15 minutes, twice a day. You can feel it out. If you have no reaction, you could double the time. People pretty much within a week or two, most people are able to breathe at will whenever they want. Now, next issue is how much gas per minute. Now, in general, one of the things about this machine is we have an output of 1.2 liters per minute, so it was designed to give you the maximum gas for an affordable price. So ideally, if one had a lot of money, I would say, and they're really in a chronic state, you would buy two machines and tether them together, which means essentially in 2 hours, if you did a 2 hour session at 2.4 liters, you could get quite the result in 2 hours. If you have one machine, you just need to breathe longer. So overnight is a really smart way to go. If you're really challenged, you get 8 hours of therapy, and then you can even do it. Some people will breathe 18 hours a day who are really in very deep crisis. And again, if you can afford it, you would do two machines together. We will have a 3 liter machine coming out. It'll be very expensive, a commercial grade machine in maybe 3 or 4 months. But the 1.2 is way ahead of the curve for what's out there in most Browns gas technology. So again, in simplicity, if you're, 25 years old, you go out and do some sports and you're a little inflamed, you could breathe an hour and be fine. If you're 70 years old and you have a lot of autoimmune issues, you're going to try to do as much gas as possible. Now, so I want to reiterate one thing here. You really can't go wrong. Rarely do I hear of people breathing too much gas and having a problem. So if you were even to breathe, let's say high volume, super high volume gas, which would be, I don't know, a machine that puts out, let's say 10 liters a minute, there's never a danger as far as, if anybody's seen anything out there about explosivity, that's completely a lie. The body can only take in so much gas, and the worst case scenario is it would get rid of excess. Where that excess is, nobody knows exactly. So somewhere between 1.2 liters and 3 liters a minute is therapeutically a pretty high volume. And again, I will emphasize, if you really, really, like, let's say you have 4-stage cancer and you can breathe higher volumes of gas, yes, do that. So it's a very healing therapy. The general homeostasis is a word that comes to mind. Anti-inflammatory is the first thing people talk about. It works on inflammation. That is true. But it also essentially is, and I don't want to call it a food exactly, but the operative term I use is permeability. The hydrogen molecule is so tiny, it gets, even if you have a toxic liver, let's say you had a stroke and you have half dead cells in your brain, it will permeate into that cell. Most people, when they have severe conditions, they think if they take a bunch of supplements, it's going to work, but they're no longer able to receive the nutrition. There's a blockage. So that's one of the beauties of hydrogen, is that it will permeate into the most toxic terrain, and then it'll start to wake up the cell. It takes time with some really compromised cell structures, but then the cell will start to be able to come back to life and now receive the nutrients that you're trying to give it. So it's a critical function, is its permeability. I don't know any other therapy, and I have about 4 or 5 therapies that I call cell permeable, that is as permeable as hydrogen. It's the most permeable therapy. It's also, of most of the therapies you hear about, it is literally anti-inflammatory. The only other anti-inflammatory therapy that I really know of, other than drinking a bunch of water, let's say, would be cryotherapy, where you get in an ice bath or do a cryotherapy chamber. So its anti-inflammatory properties are really high level. It won't destroy, Ed talks about this, it's selective. In other words, if you need a certain amount of inflammation, let's say you have an infection, you're trying to fight something off, it's not going to get rid of all inflammation, but it's going to reduce the inflammatory response. For example, COVID. What killed people with COVID was the cytokine storm. It wouldn't stop the inflammation dead in its tracks because the body's trying to get rid of the COVID, so it goes into a vicious inflammatory cycle. It would dampen down the inflammation where you wouldn't die. Now, I'm not saying this is absolute, but this is what hydrogen does. Okay, so that's standalone. It's going to help the body figure out its own healing. The body kind of will create its own prioritization of what needs to happen. Let's say you're having organ failure. Well, it's going to try to take care of that first. If you have now this is where I wanted to talk to various people on this call about really case histories. Because let's say you have a lot of infection, you have, let's say, Lyme disease, or you have a any other viral situation chronically. Hydrogen will be a help with a wise anti-pathogenic program. It wouldn't be like just do hydrogen and it's going to get rid of pathogens. I want to be crystal clear on that. It's very supportive for any other therapies that you might be trying to do. So you really need to assess each person. I assess them and try to frame where the hydrogen is fitting. So for instance, with cancer, it'll protect healthy cells if you're doing chemotherapy from being damaged. But it's not, you know, people will still, if they're going Western, do the chemotherapy, get the hydrogen as a support system. So it's important when if you're a practitioner and on this call, one of the greatest assets for this therapy is like and I don't know, several of you out there probably already do this, medical ozone therapy. Hydrogen's a wonderful co-therapy if you're doing ozone therapy, because ozone therapy is quite intense. It's an oxidative stress therapy, and you can only handle so much oxidative stress without getting very reactive. So what hydrogen does is helps basically smooth out that reactivity so you can handle more ozone with less aggravation. And every ozone clinic really needs this therapy. One of the simple analogies I would use for that is, think of ozone. You have a forest and it's super dry, and you light up a match and it just has an explosive forest fire. Well, doing hydrogen is like having a rain all night long, where it rains all night long, then you light the match. So if you were going for let's say going to an IV clinic, and you were doing a lot of hydrogen, when you went into that IV clinic, your body would you could do more intense ozone therapy. If anybody's heard of 10-pass ozone, you could work up faster. So anybody who's an ozone clinician, you know, please, this is a must therapy for your ozone clinic. And plus also, I mean, there's no hard research on this, but let's say you do ozone therapy at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe an hour and a half later, you do the hydrogen. I believe it helps the body process better the therapy. Hydrogen is so intelligent, it just helps the body work better. But for sure, if you're doing it before the therapy, let's say all night long, you're not going to have as much oxidative stress response. Okay, any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was. Oh, go ahead.
Sean. No, please,
Okay.
Sean.
Okay. I'm curious on how your journey got started in hydrogen therapy, Andrew. I mean, you don't look a day over 62, and you seem pretty lucid. So have you been using hydrogen for for a long time, or how did you get into it?
Well, I knew I had a friend who was a practitioner. He told me about this other company. Should I mention the name?
It doesn't. Yeah, I guess. Sure.
Okay, so unfortunately, unlike, let's say, Rife machines
Well,
or
let's not get in trouble, because we know some people can get emotional, so we don't want to
right.
throw
Well,
anyone.
I will
Yeah.
not mention by name, but there was unfortunately only one person out there actually teaching this therapy, and I've always thought, well, why would people mislead people? And you know, I will believe somebody until I have a reason not to. So he told me about this therapy, and I started using the machine. And yes, I did. I was playing a lot of tennis back then, and I did feel results. Um, and uh, so I just started breathing it, but at a low volume. And at some point, I was not really. I'd sleep all night long with it, and I didn't notice anything going on. In fact, I'd wake up and feel like I had to do it, right? You know, like I was dehydrated and I had to do the therapy. So I started scratching my head a little. One thing led to another. I started talking to some people in the field. I know some people around, and I figured out that volume of gas is huge, and also the issue of explosives. Anything about explosion is total BS. That's where that's a big hook that this person used, getting people afraid that the gas was explosive. And that's a shameful thing to do, to create fear. So I actually had clients who were one was very severely brain damaged, and I said, look, turn it up. The chances of you exploding are so minimal, the chances of you dying are extreme. And this other person would not relent on his, it's dangerous, it's dangerous. So that got me really miffed. Eventually I found the person who makes our machine, and he told, he really gave me a deep dive, and he knew some other Browns gas experts. So I really got clued in. At that point, I kind of got together with him and said, look, there's a lot of flaws with this machine, mechanically, technically, engineering wise. I realized we need more gas. Let's make a machine. And we designed a machine that was simple, elegant, engineering wise, that could put out the maximum amount of gas for the money, given the size of that generator. And then once I started going to that higher volume gas, in fact, even with him, I kind of started telling him, look, we need higher volume gas. And I started showing him research out of Asia that points to higher volume gas. So it's like, it's such a baby field, and there are unfortunately not enough teachers in it. So I wish there was like 500 teachers in this field, but there isn't. So I'm going to give you my best understanding as a practitioner, having been through kind of the BS of what I've experienced and what I believe in. And then along with our designer, he's clued me in on some techniques, which we can go over, and just there's basically three major ways of doing this therapy: breathing it, and as I said, you want to get the right volume, high volume gas, and the time in. There's an applicator cup, and this goes to Bo's question. So a person who had a compromised organ, heart, liver, you would put the applicator cup directly on that organ system. Now, the application area that it could cover, it's not exact, say anywhere like 18 inches circumference, maybe more. It's going to kind of go up. If you target right at the epicenter, it's going to go straight up into that organ, and it's going to kind of obviously spread out. But that's where you're going to get the most concentrated therapy if you do direct. Now, you always want to put the hydrogen will always go up to the sky. So you always want to put the applicator cup, the body has to be between the applicator cup and the sky. So if it's the heart, you're lying on your back, it goes on the back of the heart, or you're lying face forward, and it's, pronation, and you face down, and then put it under the heart. If the liver, again, you could do the same, but don't sit in a chair and put it, let's say, on the front of the liver. It'll leave the applicator cup and just go straight to the sky and won't hit the liver. So application is pretty much like a concentrated dosage of the hydrogen. If you breathe it, it's going to diffuse through your body. That's one reason to breathe for long periods of time. If you have liver issues, it's going to trickle in there. But if you do it for 8 hours, you're going to get a lot. You're getting like, I don't know, 500 liters of hydrogen in 8 hours or something like that.
Can I stop you for a second? I'm sorry to interrupt, but you said what you said about the sky. You said that so fast. You're saying that if you want to use a cup applicator, you need to be beneath the machine, or
right. The hydrogen, when it leaves the cup, will go straight to the sky.
Okay.
Just think of that. Think of a balloon at the hole of the applicator cup. So you got to make sure that your body is between you and the sky.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Between the cup and
the sky. Yeah.
So I don't, can you see me here, by the way?
I can see you. I can see you.
Sean, I can't even see me.
Oh, we see you.
We see you.
Oh, I just see a logo, but that's fine. That way I don't see myself delay time. So if this is the cup, this is my heart, like this, not like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because hydrogen is extremely light gas, just like helium, so it's going to float up. It's low density, right?
Right. Now, keep in mind that when it leaves that cup, it's the highest level of saturation that you can get. There is one other accessory. We have a torch. So the torch, actually, there's an exception there, because the torch shoots out so fast, it's a tiny little hole, that if you had a spot, let's say you put it in 7 or 8 spots on your heart, you could probably sit up and it would just literally the aggression of the spray would go through. But the application cup is not aggressive. It's not like think of a garden hose where you put it on the jet stream. That's the torch. The cup is more like, it's still an aggressive spray, but it's not that aggressive. And think of the breathing as like a soaker hose. So if you want to get the whole garden soaked, you got to run it all night long on soaker hose. If you're trying to just get one little potted plant watered, you could do it in 2-3 minutes. With not a super, the jet spray would destroy the soil. It's
So
kind of that's an analogy. But bottom line is the torch can go. Let's say you had a bad knee, and by the way, Blake, this might work for you. If you have sections where you really know you need to dial in, you could torch that right on that targeted spot.
So for example, where my femur is sitting above my pelvis, I could put the cup there. I don't have the torch, I just have the cup. But I can put it there and then, do that for how long a day?
Try 15, 20 minutes, half hour.
Okay.
Now let's be clear, I'm a body worker. So this is, when I was doing body work, I kept scratching my head and saying, God, I wish I could get to this liver cell. In other words, this is a microcellular therapy.
Right.
It's not going to adjust things. It's not going to do the fascia work, but it would make it more compliable if you were really treating it successfully. So if you had an Achilles injury, for instance, and the cells needed to heal, then yes, you would want that microcellular permeability. If your knee's out of alignment, just the knee. So
yes, and what I would say that I'm like, imagine an instrument whose strings have been pulled too tight all over from all of my years of hyper mobility and action. I'm a lean, muscly person, so everything's like long and tight. And what's happened is my own muscles have pulled me out of balance. So that's kind of this process of getting everything to relax enough so they can find its way back in. And that makes sense with the fascia work, and this would supplement the fascia work.
Yeah, one thing if it's fascia, I was even doing this morning. I was standing on I have a high-end vibration machine. I have various massage tools.
I have a vibration machine as well.
And I was using my Theragun, and I also have a rapid release. But one quick trick that I use with all my clients, especially when you're dealing with the butt, the legs, the hamstrings, the quads. I actually reminded myself to do this morning. There were 3 techniques. I have a video demonstrating these, but one is simply while you're standing on the vibration machine, so it's trembling, it's a neuromuscular trembling, which is great unto itself. Then squeeze your butt and it'll naturally release. Squeeze, release, and treat while you're doing the squeeze release. Now
pardon me, I'm just going to clarify, treat with hydrogen while you're doing the squeeze release?
No, with the vibrational tool.
Yeah, just squeeze release while on the tool. Okay.
In other words, I found there were 3 techniques when I had clients on the table. Fascia is it locks in from stress already. So the fascia is reflecting a kind of trauma pattern. So you got to treat it you got to get it out of its fixated state. You got to trick it. So squeeze release is one technique in general. Depending on the area, you're trying to get the fascia to get into motion and hit it when it's moving. You sneak up on it. But if you just try to get on frozen fascia and go on it like with your elbow, like a Ralpher, the intelligence that told it to freeze in the first place is still engaged. So you're fighting its subconscious trauma pattern.
Right.
So these are tricks to trick it, literally get it out, because when you're squeezing release, it's involved in an action and it's not thinking about its trauma. That's when you can release it. So anyhow, that's just a little one trick. I can send links to anybody wants. So
Oh, I would love those links. Are you kidding me? Of course I would love them.
well, they're more table work, but they apply to the vibration machine if you can figure it out. So one is like, let's say you're anybody who has back problems, and the spine was huge. So I would do these techniques, and then I do cranial sacral, which is amazing. It's super subtle, but I always had to do the fascia work. And then I do some acupuncture to kind of get into some of those little gnarly spots where the fascia was like, eh. And that kind of break up some of the subconscious communication. But there's also, if anybody knows the yoga, the cobra.
Yes, that's
So for the lower back, if you're arching up, and as the client came down, now you have to figure out where to hit them based on the spine, based on the arch. But when they came down is when I'd hit them with the vibrational tool on the unwind. Again, it's the fascia is now engaged in unwinding, letting go, and that's when you release it. So fascia is, just think of fascia. It's just like every screwed up encounter you've ever had in your life. The fascia did this and this and this and this, and you're trying to get it out of that trauma mentality. Because it's just looping. So it's an old pattern that you're trying to break. So these are tricks to get it, as some people would say, to be present. Trick yourself into presence. But anyhow, that's just, now the hydrogen, will loosen things up. And if you have really, if you get enough constriction in an area and it's constant, let's say, I don't know what the word is, where the fascia just squeezing in, and then you start to get really toxic situations. Remember, fascia surrounds everything. So if you have a lot of anger and, your liver has got the fascia's been doing this and this, the hydrogen can kind of loosen things up. So then when you go to do the body work, you might have more success. And especially when you get very toxic terrain, you're trying to send this beautiful healing gas into the kind of we're out of business part of your body. Does this make any sense? Oh, are you there, Blake?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I muted myself. It makes total sense. There's just a lot of action going on in my kitchen right now, so I just made myself quiet so you didn't hear me.
So I think an important concept to get through right here is that the hydrogen molecule is extremely small, and it will penetrate the skin. It goes through the skin, it goes through your bones, it goes through everything. It's actually
Correct.
you can even this is why there's no real product out there that's hydrogen water that you can buy off a shelf, because even if you contain it in aluminum, the hydrogen will escape for a while. So any products that are made with hydrogen gas are going to diffuse and lose their potency over time.
There's just not enough gas in those water
Yeah,
bottles.
even those little pills that, my mom got cancer and someone told me I needed to get her hydrogen pills. And yeah, it didn't I didn't notice anything. I took some myself and I was like, oh, I don't know, this feels like a hike.
Right. I mean, again, I can't emphasize, if you did 20 liters a minute, you would slough off so much as if you breathed it, and that'd be it. So where the max is, well, it's what you can afford. Unfortunately, I would say, I mean, if there was no issue of financials, I would say buy a 5-liter machine. And by the way, the stuff out of China will break down very quickly. They're called proton exchange membrane systems. That's another thing I want people to understand. This is a very durable clinical machine that will go 24/7. You have to refill it, but it will go, if you clean it properly once a month, it will go for years. And the machines out of China will go for a year and a half, maybe, and you would not be able to use it. They're meant for an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and they will degrade on the output. They won't crash all of a sudden. They'll just put out less and less gas.
Yeah.
So it's really important to understand, there are machines out of China that will put out 3 liters a minute, high-end machines that are $12,000. So who wants to buy from China anyhow? If you have a problem, you're not going to get it fixed. Our engineer is an incredibly high-level person as a human being. Any problems, you get direct connection. You know, we take care of everything. So that's important to have somebody you trust. So anyhow, you know, again, flooding the body with the gas will take you so far. Then, you know, depending on your other health issues, you know, got to employ the other strategic therapies. I advocate about 6 or 7 main holistic technologies. As a body worker, we're talking about this as a technique thing with the vibration machine and the massage tools, but this comes from understanding body work. It also works systemically on detox, uh, lymph treatment, organ treatment, fascia treatment, meridian treatment. It's an amazing body work protocol, so I advocate that. Then I go with, you know, then these microcellular therapies, there are a handful of those that literally get into the cell and they each have a different action. Again, the easiest one is hydrogen because it does no harm and it supports everything. But if you have complicated issues, you do need a consult and you need to figure out what to do. Any other, Jay, I see you. Are you a practitioner or a, hey there, Sean?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay,
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm just saying hi to Jay. I see you on there. I don't know what any questions? Or Victoria?
Some people are shy. I think Victoria's just listening in.
Okay.
I have a question about bubbling water and then drinking it. We've been generally doing it for about like 5 to 10 minutes, but is there actual like protocols for that? I know there is in the manual, but I just want to hear it from you.
Yeah, so a pint of water, bubble for 10 minutes. No, I'm sorry, 5 minutes for a pint. And so, you know, just go by that. So 16 ounces is 5 minutes.
Okay, and then I have another question. The temperature of the water that you're bubbling does play a role, or does it? And if so, should you use cold water? Should you use warm water? Should you use filtered water? Should you use tap water?
No, I use my treated bluesy water, which is also got 4-stage aspects, but a clean water, obviously, it doesn't matter. Whatever your favorite water is. As far as temperature goes, I would assume a colder temperature would hold the gas a little more, but never really.
Yeah, I think just the laws of entropy would say that if it's warm, it'll diffuse faster.
But you know, I drink it right away. I do it in a mason jar, and I do room temperature because I don't want to drink. Cold water is a shock on the colon, especially if you're drinking a pint. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. You can bubble several times a day. And as far as type of water, whatever you like. I have my bluesy water, which is a detox water for metals and chemicals.
Okay, and then another thing I wanted to ask was there is a reason that the machine that we're using is a lot more effective, and that is for the amount of gas it puts out. And the amount of gas it puts out is actually extremely important in the therapeutic process altogether. It's showing now, the latest research is showing that using a lot of gas, more is better. More hydrogen is better.
Right, that's what I was saying previously.
So what would we say to the people that are saying, oh, well, I like this machine, you know, but I don't even know how much gas it puts out, but it has a timer on it.
Oh, well, look at the specs. So first thing you do is look at the specs wherever you're looking. Secondly, our specs are 1.2 per minute.
That's 1.2 liters per minute.
Correct. Like I said, you're paying, unfortunately, I wish there was a magic wand and it was $5 for a machine. we're working on a 3-liter machine, but that's going to be, ideally, you have a 3-liter machine, you turn it down, let's say down to 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, etc. But, everything's money. So for the money, this is a great value, and also it's an extremely durable machine. That other machine, the person would never do direct phone calls, and all my clients constantly, they were throwing away their machines because their side tubes would get blocked. They couldn't see anything. Their high sensors would go bad. It was riddled with stuff you don't need. It was like
Right.
over-engineered for whatever reason. The person was a little bit like, he thought that was cute, but it was disastrous. Created, So once I knew all those major problems and dealing with all my customers in that company, I said, this needs to go, this needs to go. I mean, if you had a $500 high sensor that worked, and you don't need it. By the way, if you overfill this machine, anybody who's had it, you might see a little water spitting out from the tower, the top of the tower. You see water spitting out. So what? You can dump the cup 1 then. If it spits out too much, just dump cup 1, refill it, and you're done. If you happen to overfill it, that's the worst that'll happen. It'll spit out water out of the tube. Now, we have a clamp on the system now, or if you have that black plug, it's nice to unclamp it or pull out the plug, because the level on the side tube will show quicker because you release the vacuum. But if you do unclamp it, make sure to reclamp it after you fill it. So, and I always suggest taking the handle and rocking it a little, front handle, to just make sure that side tube levels out. But again, if you overfill, it'll spit out the extra. And, if it's too much coming out into cup 1, it's a bit concentrated at that point. Just dump cup 1 and refill it with some distilled water. That's it.
Okay, right on. So it looks like we're about out of time for this show. We are going to be doing this probably bi-weekly, I think. So anyone who catches this show, like that's catching a rerun or the recording of it, it's going over all over the platforms. Feel free to write your questions in the comments. We're going to read through all the comments, and we're going to answer all the questions. And we will have the Zoom link posted publicly, so you can hop in and talk with the practitioners yourself, or if you are a practitioner, learn more about the therapy and how it can help out your clients. Thanks everyone who came out to this show. Andrew, I appreciate your time, man. I know you're a busy guy and you got to get back to what you're doing, but this has been really good. Thanks for coming out.
And thank you so much, Andrew. That was really great. I'm looking forward to the next one. I've learned a lot just in this short period of time.
Yeah, you can. Do you have my contact info?
I don't think I do. I'd love to have it somehow. Maybe Sean can hook us up.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem. I'll forward that along.
Thank you so much. It was really great. I'm glad I caught it.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
It's one person at a time is my mentality.
Well, a lot of people are watching this later on. They just couldn't make it in for the live, so I'm sure they'll all appreciate it.
And I am sitting here breathing gas, just so you know.
Well, that's great. No, I find, your situation is intriguing. So it's always a chess game for all of us.
Exactly. I look forward to connecting more. So thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you.
And thanks, iHeal.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, Sean, thanks for doing this. We're trying to dig into this therapy a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we're going to be doing this a lot more, like I said. So stick around for that. And thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Alrighty. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
We are facing a crisis. There is an epidemic sweeping humanity, but it's not what you think. Or maybe you do.
The pharmaceutical industry, through the medical profession, has changed what was once a healthcare system into now a disease system.
People have lost trust in traditional institutions. They're failing to find the answers they need, or even feeling deceived. The system is broken. Now, more than ever before, people are seeking answers in the alternative health world. This is creating a massive opportunity. Have you ever asked yourself why alternative healing is called alternative healing? when it's literally been around for thousands of years? We think you do, but let's get to the point. Mixed modality healers are needed now more than ever before. Not only needed, they're in demand, and that's why we're calling on you. Hello, I'm Beaudre Fraser, the lead practitioner here at iHeal Collective, and I'm super excited today to talk to you about our new mixed modality course that we've crafted just for you.
It's a purge.
We've combined powerful modalities such as advanced reflexology, deep tissue bodywork, cupping, lymphatic drainage, sound and vibrational healing, and more for you to power up your practice. Join us in paradise! Our healing center in tropical West Coast Mexico is where you learn why mixed modality treatments are not just the past, but the future of healthcare. Are you ready to be a part of that? We think you are. Side effects? How about feeling great? We know what they're trying to make you believe. But the truth is, we can learn to heal ourselves.
The mixed modality course that I've just taken part in here in Ixtepa.
A mixed modality course, I thought it was something I really needed to do.
I want to be able to offer my services to as many people as possible, and I just want to have the skills to be able to meet people's needs as much as I can.
To help the people in my life and also myself, to follow my guidance, I guess, my intuition.
I think it's going to just give people that ability to help people in a bigger, deeper way with lasting effects and life-changing effects.
The mixed modality course that I've just taken part in here in Ixtepa brings together different modalities, all working towards releasing tension, trauma, and all sorts of ailments, if you like, in the body.
Beau is on point. She's quick. There's never a dull moment.
She was very warm and welcoming, wants to make you feel comfortable and welcomed into the space.
The information comes fast.
She's a wild, witchy woman, is what I kind of found, and quite intense and really in depth in everything that she does. She speaks quite fast, so be ready.
There's also the kind of depth of knowledge and information that she has that's there as well, which makes you feel like, wow, there's a lot to learn from her.
There's no time for daydreaming. Then all evening you spend processing everything that you learn during the day. It's, to me, a much better way of teaching.
But also just her generosity and everything that she's trying to achieve in terms of healing really shines through as well. She has a really good blend of being really direct. If you see something's not going quite right, she'll be straight in there and let you know.
Hearing Beau speak about mixed modality and the fact that you need to bring all these different components together.
There's different techniques you use: sound healing, reflexology, Rainer massage.
I really feel like this actually just gave me the last couple of extra really key tools to bring it all together, all of the movement, the body work, the coaching and emotional work.
It all works together to release all the physical and emotional tension we hold in our bodies.
There was just a couple of little bits left, and this is the last final course that I've done that just molds it all together really nicely.
With the tension bands, that was quite a big moment of, wow, it is all connected.
I didn't know how amazing the sound tuning forks would be, seeing what happened in the body when I was using them, so that was really exciting.
Beau was actually working on one of my fellow students who had a major energetic release, and I saw this energy coming from her. I couldn't say exactly where it was coming from. I was watching how she could move energy and how her client's body reactions were and how he was releasing some really powerful stuff.
I just experienced, it sounds weird to say because it feels like cliche, but it's just a really transformative release.
This is what I really wanted, and I found the right person, and I'm just so blown away right now.
I got on the table for myself, and what I experienced was hard to put into words.
I know that she was drawing from all her wealth of expertise.
Taking these blockages and releasing them by transmuting them to herself. I mean, that is It's really amazing. It's really intense to think about. She did a really amazing job, and I feel calmer today, like more relaxed. Things were released that had been bottled up that I didn't even know about.
You know, she was telling me a little bit about her training, and you know, you hear that a lot of people say, "Oh, we're trained here and there," but my God, you know, she is really a master, an absolute master of her craft.
We believe in the success of our students, so our class sizes are small and intimate, and they fill up fast. So sign up now and join the collective.
For the healing of the collective.
In Japan, a country known for its citizens' longevity and vitality later in life, there were special pools where people could bathe in the waters that was recently churned through the inner workings of a mountain. People who bathed in this Hansa water felt a certain rejuvenation. We now know that this effect is a result of the abundance of hydrogen in the water.
Our clinic recreates this with the IHG 600 Browns Gas Electrolyzer, so you can enjoy the benefits of hydrogen Browns gas in your own home.
Hydrogen in every form is our most important macronutrient, vitamin H. It is healing and rejuvenating.
Around 62% of the human body is made of hydrogen, 24% oxygen, and the remaining 12 and 2% everything else. Most of us are hydrogen deficient, and this affects the rate that we age. When this happens, the body starts shutting down first the regeneration system, then the immune system, and eventually the organs. We do not uptake all of the water that we drink. This is why we structure an alkaline water. This helps the uptake rate, but there is vast room for improvement. Ideally, we want our water to be plasma, that is in the blood the minute it enters our body, not after the digestion process, and there is a way to do this.
Increased hydrogen saturation has amazing regenerative and healing effects.
The IHG 600, engineered by Ed Wonder, is designed to provide the efficacy of both hydrogen gas and water.
Stay tuned for our next video where we talk about the science behind this.
For those of you not able to join us in Mexico, we can teach you how to set up your own machine. Please subscribe to our social media and follow us on our journey to healing and hydration.